Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another new exciting episode of Homeboy Talk. We are your mighty talking content creators of the interwebs. My name is Deon Donovan, comic creator of Title Page Comics, and this is my co-host.
Haha, that's right. It's ORRION online. That's Orion online. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Today's date is October 30th, and we're here for another round of Homeboy Talk. Let's get at it.
Back to action.
Today's topic, our talking point right now, is Power Rangers. It's something that we tried to have recorded early on before, but with technical difficulties, we're going to go ahead and re-up it, but we actually picked up more information on top of that. So what we wanted to do is talk about what we know about Power Rangers now. The fact of the matter is that the live action and a TV show is going to be evolving, and it's going to be under new management, with a new director and everything else, taking Power Rangers forward. But from my understanding with Power Rangers right now, it's always been a kid-friendly franchise for kids. It was supposed to be loved by all kids, but I'm thinking and I'm starting to understand that what Saban was trying to incorporate wasn't successful at the time. So now it's taken up on the ranks of Hasbro, and now Hasbro is actually understanding, and it's finally I'm glad they are. The guys in suits, the men and women in suits that's in the conference room are seeing that sales and the popularity of Power Rangers are mainly from all adults.
Surprise.
Yeah. It should be no surprise to them, but it's a surprise to them, record sales of figures, live action toys, Dragon Dagger, Morpher, re-upped again, still selling. Toys, Lightning Collection, Megazords, all back on the forefront again, and selling to who? Adults. So, with that information they took on, I'm pretty sure they put it in their charts with the graphs and everything else, and they're weighing it out, and they're seeing that it's not kids that's buying these toys, it's adults. Right, and it shouldn't be, but it is. And what's going on now, it's that with the new direction, it seems like they're going to end up dividing the fandom, where it's not just only for kids. Now it's time for the adults to actually enjoy Power Rangers like old times. Because what I'm understanding is with the live action show, with the new live action show, I think that's going to be more geared towards kids, but the movie is going to be more geared to adults. And I think other side projects after that is going to be more geared to adults. So I guess this topic alone would be more speculation, but also you have more information. Oh, well, you got a couple of information that I don't have offhand, but I want to hand things off. The director and the visionary of Power Rangers, if you can help me out with that and let me know what his name and what do you think his vision is going to go forward with Power Rangers.
Yeah, for sure, man. His name is Jonathan Entwistle. It's a weird last name, but this is the man behind the Netflix series I Am Not Okay With This, and It's the End of the Fucking World. And you could tell just from his catalog, his back history, he has more of a mature and adult-themed mindset when it comes to these projects. And all I have to say to all of this news is it's about damn time, because tiresome and cookie cutter and vanilla has been like the three defining words describing Power Rangers since Saban picked them up with Samurai. I mean, I don't see how it took this long for the owners of Power Rangers to see that through nostalgia and through the adult fans that grew up on MMPR, through In Space, through whatever, even RPM, these fans are grown-ass adults now. And like we mentioned before, it's harder to get the attention of the younger generation when they grew up on Fortnite, when they have their phone, when they're watching Adventure Time and whatever else is on TV, and they're not tuning in to Power Rangers and they're not buying these toys. So this was a fantastic move on Hasbro to get Entertainment One to produce this supposed shared universe between the movies and television. And to bring one of their quotes from their press conference, they said, to reimagine the television and film worlds of this property. Now, the word reimagine, that's very, very key right there. And I don't know how far they're going to go into that, but that is a sign of hope right there. To reimagine. We want the Power Rangers to get out of this kid-friendly zone. We're not saying it needs to be dark, edgy, mature like old Logan, like Logan or some of these rated R series, right? I'm not expecting Sopranos out of this shit, but I am expecting something that has a cohesive story with semi-decent acting and some good action sequences and drama, where we can see some high stakes, where we can see some blood from some punches or some battle damaged suits, and we can see that they're really hurting inside. So this was a really good move, and it makes sense, because if you see the other big companies, they're doing something similar to this. You have Marvel with the MCU. They have a shared connected universe now on Disney Plus. You got Marvel TV shows and then you have Marvel movies, and the two intertwined together. You're now seeing this with DC films. With Warner Brothers, you have the Snyderverse films, the DC films. Now you're seeing that they're adapting new television series on HBO Max with Green Lantern and Peacemaker with the Suicide Squad. Now they're having a shared TV and movie cinematic universe or whatever. So this makes sense for Power Rangers to follow in that suit and to copy that formula to success. And I gotta say that this almost could be the nail in the coffin for the more kid branded Beast Morphers, for the more kid branded stuff, because if this takes off to a degree where they're so profitable from it, it's almost like, well, why are we going to continue the kid branding? If the sales and all, if we're getting all this from this one side, why continue this other side that's kind of bleeding us dry to begin with, other than some contractual obligations? So this is a good move on Hasbro to put this into motion and to finally see that Saban was basically milking it dry and kept with the same safe formula to the point where it was just, why are you even bothering at certain times? Even the Disney era tried with some things, and it was still entertaining enough where, okay, I mean, it's Power Rangers, but it's fairly good, especially for Power Rangers. With Saban in the last 4 or 5 years, I can't say the same. Maybe Dino Charge was a little more of a highlight than other seasons, but nah, man, this is about freaking time. And the time of the superhero genre is at its all-time high. You have a superhero team here. Power Rangers are superheroes, essentially, you know? And for them to not capture a piece of that nostalgia pie that everyone is grasping at, you have one of the biggest nostalgia pies of the 90s, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, still being milked to this day and still making money with these toy sales, still making money with the comic sales, still making money off merchandising, the actors still making a living off those iconic roles of a television series in the 90s. I mean, Power Rangers was so huge in the 90s that 20, 30 years later, it's still, you know what I'm saying, it's still relevant. And the fact that it's still relevant 20, 30 years later, it tells you something, that they got it right. And there's something about that cheesy 90s campiness of the over the drama, the high stakes, the martial arts, the choreography, the coolness of the characters that has failed to translate to a modern audience and to bring it to up to date. I'm sorry, that last movie was not Power Rangers. I mean, you got the fanboys out there and fangirls. It wasn't Power Rangers to me. It could have been rebranded as something else completely, and I'd have been fine with that. That was not Power Rangers. And the fact that the previous seasons on television, the biggest highlights of those seasons and the biggest episodes are the crossover episodes where you have returning actors and actresses come back. That's the only time they get a spotlight. Beast Morphers has Austin St. John, the original Red MMPR Ranger, coming back. and this is the only highlight you've seen of Beast Morphers. It's like legitimately the only storyline that's reaching people who aren't Power Ranger fans. So Entertainment One, stellar move to get them to make this shared cinematic universe. And I hope it is true that it is separate. I hope that it is true that there is a separate universe where, okay, the movies are a little bit more adultish, and then the television show might be on Netflix, might be on a streaming platform, might be on Amazon Prime. Doesn't mean it's for adults, but it does mean that it can get away with more edgier content, like basically just Super Sentai and Kamen Riders level of storytelling and mature themes. Just that, or Bat in the Sun even, you know what I'm saying? Doesn't have to be too over the top, bloody and gory and all that. We're not asking for that. We want something that's competent and up to date with modern sensibilities, and to have fun with it, and to bring Power Rangers back to the fold of relevancy towards newer generations. If you get it right, you're gonna grab the kids. You cater to the kids, kids will ignore it. You cater to adults, kids follow what the adults want. They'll buy into the new series for the adults, right? So big ups for Hasbro for doing this. I think they got the right guy to back this up. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see what they can come up with. Hopefully they can get it right this time, because if they don't, I think they're fucked. What do you think?
I mean, you hit every nail on the head, because Power Rangers need to divide the fandom a little bit. And I'm not saying, hardcore and core fans and stuff like that. I'm talking about divide the generation gap. Kids need to have their Power Rangers and adults need to have their Power Rangers. And what I'm understanding with Dino Fury, it's possibly, I'm going off the speculation. Don't quote me. If you do quote me, understand that I'm speaking on speculation. But Dino Fury could be the last. Well, it is going to be the last Toei related footage, Sentai footage series. And then they're going to try to do something on their own, which is it's a long time coming. They should have been doing that. They don't need Japanese footages to actually sell stuff. Because they're capable of doing it, because if we have histories of Power Rangers making their own original stuff. We've seen it with Jungle Fury, with Spirit Rangers, which does not exist in Super Sentai. You got Titanium Ranger, that does not exist in Super Sentai. There's a little caveats out there that's been thrown out there, that they can actually do on their own, and it hits and it sells. But Dino Fury is probably one of those things that's going to be. It's currently filming right now as we speak. We got Russell, we got Kai, and we got Hunter, who are playing as Dino Fury Red, Blue, and Pink. And they're currently in New Zealand filming and doing their parts. I've been on Instagram. And I see that they were on the plane. They departed. They're in New Zealand. Russell just posted an Instagram pic and saying, showing that he was at the Lord of the Rings. Yeah, he was actually in that little set, the scenery that was filmed. The Hobbit. Yeah, the Hobbit. Yeah, he was there. He was just there taking pictures and stuff like that. So, all right. So so he was definitely in there. In New Zealand, shooting the breeze and stuff like that, but at the same time doing work. He's out here doing script reading, knowing what to do and stuff like that. He has yet to been in the suit yet. I don't know if it's if it's an NDA to be fitted in the suit or anything else, because the one thing that we missed this year was Power Morphicon, and Power Morphicon was supposed to be the point where they do the cast reveal and they were going to be fitted in their suits and they were going to be shown off to the masses of them being the new Rangers for the next series. But I'm also reporting that this is what I understand, that Nickelodeon is just under contract with Power Rangers for till 2021 or 2022. I don't know. I'm throwing a ballpark out there, whatever I understand and stuff like that. But this is probably going to be the last season that's going to be on Nickelodeon, and from now on it's going to be just on Netflix. That's the rumor I'm getting out there. But I think that's what Power Rangers need to go, because I'm not waking up Saturday morning to catch up on Power Rangers and stuff like that, because I'm just going to end up trying to catch the rerun on the internet, you know. But yeah, because it's not Saturday morning. We're not. I mean, come on now. Like I get it. The kid. We used to wake up in the morning to watch Power Rangers, and we're all adults. We wake up in the morning and go to work now, you know. So we gotta be able to catch powers at a reasonable time and stuff, you know. So I mean, and what you just said, man, with like Power Rangers they get a breath of fresh air when they do crossover episodes. The one that was notable to now is what you just said, you know. It's you've got Austin St. John reprising his role to come in as Jason and be part of Beast Morphers, because as of right now I've seen little scenes of Beast Morphers where they have past weapons in their lab, you know, in the Morphex lab and stuff like that, where they have all the past Rangers weapons and stuff. But the most notable one that I've seen in the past was when Jason David Frank came back for Ninja Steel, and you had a plethora of actors and actresses that came back, you know, and to be honest with you, it did a better job than Super Mega Force, you know. Yeah. So it did a better job than Super Mega Force, and you know, everybody else actually had a part and everybody had a role. Yeah, there's my biggest caveat, man, is I hate when they do these cop-outs, you know, the actors that come in and they get paid to go to sleep on set. You know, you're talking about like, oh, we're going to be cloning the Rangers and stuff like that. So they get to be they're laid up in the bed and they're getting clothed and they're sleepy. And then some magical nonsense happens and they wake up and they're back to action and stuff, you know. So they're coming from their own dimensional portals and everything else, you know. But, yeah, man, like the biggest point you made, man, it's time to sever the ties. Like the kids are not messing with Power Rangers. Is it known to the kids? Yes, because of us, the adults. The reason why they're familiar with the red, the blue, the pink, the yellow, the black, and the green and the white is because of us adults. That we were raised on Power Rangers. We still have nostalgia on it. It still hits home. So as for the kids, if anything else, if kids like Power Rangers now, it's because it was influenced by their parents. It was not like when we grew up. We discovered Power Rangers on our own. Our parents didn't tell us about it. We had to watch TV and see that was Power Rangers, and we watched it. We chose it on our own. There was no influence. There was no guys, unless you had great friends and stuff like that influence. It's like, oh man, Power Rangers is the hotness. Then yeah, you know, you can get that influence, but you still pick that on your own, you know. But for the kids that likes Power Rangers now and stuff like that, I doubt they're waking up early in the morning and turning on the cable TV, because we're living in a world of the digital age where the internet exists. They could skip out on the Power Rangers and catch up on whatever they want, whether they're going to be on Minecraft or on Fortnite and whatever other nonsense that's on TV or on the internet and stuff like that, you know. But other than that, yeah, man, it's time. Like I said, it's really time to sever the ties and really give the adults what they want, and they want Power Rangers to progress and evolve. You know, they want. It doesn't have to meet the mature rated. It doesn't have to be rated R. It could be rated PG-13, and you could take elements from PG-13 films, and you could take elements from Marvel, and you could take elements from DC. Because if that's the direction that you're going, and if that's the board of directors are doing right now, and saying like, you know, we need to go ahead and hit that demographic, and you know what Bat and the Sun is, because I have no doubt in my mind that board of directors are paying attention. I'm pretty sure they're at a conference room with a big LED TV and charts running around here, and it says this is what's hitting and this is what's resonating with the fandom. I have no doubt in my mind they're watching YouTubers speculate and talk about their brand, their franchise that they just purchased. So they're listening. They're really listening. They're keen in, and they're like, we understand what these people want. They want a serious power. They want Power Rangers to be taken seriously. Enough of this campy nonsense. Enough of this, yeah, let's go get it, guys, and all that stuff like that. No, Power Rangers need to meet consequences too. Power Rangers have met consequences before, and they have not met consequences like that in a long time. You know, we've seen the destruction of the command center. We've seen the destruction of Megazords. We've seen the villains win. The villains have yet to actually have that moment where they give any of these fans that edge of the seat, anticipation, that angst, that anxiety. It's like, can the Power Rangers pull through? Because if you were to take a page from what Marvel did with the Avengers, and what they did with the whole entire franchise on its own, where part one of the Avengers, where it was Thanos that snapped his finger and got the victory. Most of the well-known superheroes they disappeared, they vanished. Half the planet's gone. Half of what to Earth existence is gone because of one snap. Villains need to be victorious. They need to win. If Power Rangers would have had the same thing where if Rita or Lord Zed were to snap their fingers and half the Power Rangers are gone, what used to be 6 is now 3.
Right.
Yeah, that's going to bring an edge of the seat kind of moment, stuff like that. Power Rangers need to bring that back. They need to be able to reach consequences, because what happens if you don't save the world? They got to take a page from The Boys. That's what's going on in Amazon. They got to take these pages from these elements, to make Power Rangers impactful to the adults, to the people that's actually buying the merchandises. Because till this day, I have yet to ever walk outside of my house and see somebody without a Power Ranger thing on, whether if it's a shirt or bandana. Yesterday we just saw a bandana. I didn't compliment, but it was a Power Ranger bandana. I went to a comic book store with you, and what did we hear? Hey, do you guys have a Power Ranger section? Shocking!
Right.
Like, get it. Now, to a credit, I did one time went to Walmart, and I did hear a mother says, do you guys have anything Power Rangers? My kids want nothing but Power Rangers. So I will give, for the listeners that's probably listening to us and saying like, oh, well, kids like Power Rangers too. There's going to be a few out there. I'm not going to say that all kids don't like Power Rangers. There's going to be a few that's able to discover Power Rangers on their own and like it. But it's just this few and there, to know who they are and stuff like that. So I know that Dino Charge did his due diligence. Ninja Steel was, and then you got Beast Morphers. It's bringing them back around just a little bit, because I've seen kids wear Beast Morphers costume, and I was like, okay, they're there. Then now you got Dino Fury, which is which like I said, is being kicked off, and I want to even throw this caveat out there, because with Beast Morphers, they're coming in with a black Red Ranger. So now you got Dino Fury. Now you got a back-to-back black Red Ranger.
Blazing.
Yeah, and he's blazing, black and Asian. And the reason why I resonated with him is because, to the listeners out there, I'm black and Asian and stuff like that. So this is a bit of a shock to me, because in Power Rangers existence, there hasn't been an Asian Red Ranger, and there's only a few black Red Rangers.
Black 6.
Yeah.
Black 6.
So but now this is a history moment. This is a history turning moment. Now you got a black half Asian Red Ranger that's taking up the ranks and stuff like that. And what they'll do with Dino Fury? This probably will be the last season that is going to be campy for kids and stuff like that. And then whenever it goes to Netflix, stuff like that, it's flexible, because you know what, Netflix is one of those platforms that just let all missiles fire, whatever goes. So this is the reason why I feel like that. The kids will have their Power Rangers, and now the adults will have their Power Rangers. And whatever they do, I'm feeling that they're taking pages from the fans, because now they know what the fans want. They're seeing things from the indie scene. They're seeing things that actually met full production. If I had to throw this out there, that the comic book release of Lord Draken, when they did a promo itself, which was less than 10 minutes?
Yeah, it was a few minutes tops.
Yeah. Of just the reveal of Lord Draken sitting on a throne, broken weapons in the scenery, have a red Century Ranger, a yellow Century Ranger, as part of his crew, his henchmen and stuff like that, and he's walking to the edge of his palace and stuff like that, and at his end scene he says they could have been gods.
Right. Yeah.
Your people was like, is Power Rangers back, and is this the direction?
Yeah.
That was earth shattering. That was definitely earth shattering, because people wanted something like that. They want, of course, they want Tommy back, but now Tommy's back to evil, and the tone is not. You could kind of look at the color grading of that promo in the show. It's not campy. You have dark tones of colors, stuff like that, and Lord Draken is ready to deliver those consequences, So people know that, corporations, the company, the people that own the franchise knows that this is what the fans want. You've got an indie scene. One to note is Unworthy Productions, who has hit millions of views, has been seen by many of the YouTubers, and they feel that this is what Power Rangers needed to go, because they've also shown consequences. They have a character named the Arbiter who's kicking ass and everything else, who's defeated Power Rangers and stuff like that, all because he's looking for people to be worthy of the power, and their cast and stuff like that, meeting up with the cast stuff. The guy who's been writing the Unworthy Production series is a genius, because he seems to take elements from DC and knows how to deliver on it. And if the company like Hasbro's were to take that tone, then you could see Power Rangers having a long run, and you're always going to continue seeing those toy sales. You can continue having those legacy sales of the Dragon Dagger, the Power Sword, the Sabas and the Morphers and stuff like that. But because it's just been way too much focus on Mighty Morphin and stuff, But other than that, man, I have to ask you, man, what are your thoughts on what they're doing with Dino Fury?
Well, big ups for them for having 2 back-to-back seasons with 2 Red Rangers, essentially. I don't think that's happened before. And with the current political climate of 2020, it was a safe move to do as well. So with Dino Fury, there is a group of kids. There is an audience of kids who like Power Rangers, who are watching on Nickelodeon. Like my cousin's kids, 2 boys, they love Power Rangers. And there is an audience for that, sure. But why couldn't that be accomplished with reruns, in a sense? Why couldn't you just rerun MMPR through Operation Overdrive or RPM, and you have, the kids, it's Power Rangers. They're still going to get into it. Even though, okay, it looks a little bit aged up, it still grabs their imagination, So to justify a whole new season to sell a new thing of toys, it's like, well, I mean, you're doing so much MMPR relaunches anyway. You might as well just rerun MMPR, and the kids who like Power Rangers are probably like MMPR. So, and most of these houses still have Netflix. They have access to a plethora of freaking streaming services. So Dino Fury, I think, might end the chapter of PR in a certain way for sure. I'm not sure what they can do with it. If this is the one, they're probably not going to mix this one up. They're going to probably wipe the slate clean after this season. And I hope it goes out on a good note. I hope it goes out almost like RPM to a certain extent with the fans. And I hope it can deliver some form of quality to where, sure, a Power Ranger fan can check it out. Someone who's into Power Rangers will be like, okay, I'll check it out, because it's as good as the Disney seasons, or it's as good as the 90s era. So with Dino Fury, I mean, we'll see. But the cast looks interesting. Dinosaurs again, always coincidentally with new Jurassic Park release for whatever reason. Yeah, marketing. Dinosaurs is always big. that should be big toy sales. I mean, every Walmart you go to, every toy store has those plastic dinosaur figures, T-Rex, Triceratops, Velociraptor, in different colors and shit like that. So you get robotic dinosaurs added with Power Rangers. Toy sales should be up for Dino Fury for sure. And then the fact that you're going to bring back at some point one of the past, probably someone from Dino Thunder, someone from, Beast Morph, Dino Charge, and then someone from MMPR at some point for a reunion episode. Maybe Johnny on Bosch or something like that would be dope for Dino Fury's dinosaur collaboration episode. I don't even know why they're doing it with Beast Morphers now I think about it. Oh, it's because they have Austin St. John and they have Dino Charge Red and somebody else for They're doing like the dinosaur team up for Beast Morphers.
Yeah, for Beast Morphers, they have Austin St. John as MMPR Red, and they have Dino Charge Red, but they skipped out on Dino Thunder Red because I don't think they were able to reach that actor.
Right. Which is cool. We're gonna get 2 seasons back to back of the dinosaur reunion. You can never go wrong with dinosaurs, and you can never go wrong with MMPR coming back. So, Dino Fury, we'll see. The night theme, I think if they can delve into that a little bit more, I think they're filming in the Shire. That's kind of fun. If they can really incorporate like a Power Rangers meets Lord of the Rings kind of crossover feel, like almost like Saban did with Mystic Knights of Terranog back in the day. So if they can revisit that thing, because I love that show. Not a lot of people remember that shit. But if they can almost revisit that with the Power Ranger branding and the Power Ranger suits and production, I mean, it could be a fun series.
To be honest with you, with Beast Morphers, they've recorded their season and stuff like that with Austin St. John and the callback of MMPR and the callback of Dino Thunder and the callback of Dino Charge, reusing the footages from Toei. I feel like that right there, Beast Morphers is gonna. They might end up doing something what Super Sentai has been doing for a while, is passing the torch. What if all 3 of those generations were to come in and shake Dino Fury's hand? Right. It says, "Welcome to the family of Dino, welcome to the dinosaur family."
Right. That would be dope. That would be dope. I mean, and also in terms of these fans, I mean, the outlets of like. You don't need, I don't know how many episodes are an average season of Power Rangers. They split it into, I don't know if it's like 15, 20 or 15, 15.
I think they said they wanted a full 50.
Full 50? Too much. Cut it down. Cut that shit on on Netflix. Whenever they go to the streaming service, cut that shit down. 20 episodes, 25. We've seen other shows do this. You don't need 50 freaking episodes. Some of it, 75% of it is filler anyway, and the rest are really story orientated. And so, yeah, cut that production cost down. Make every episode count. Every episode count. And, you have shows like The Boys who don't have that much of a high budget, but they do it efficiently to give you a high-quality superhero show that seems like a high-quality superhero movie, but they're smart in the way they direct things, and they're smart of knowing which scenes to film to give you that effect, like, oh shit, like something major is happening. They don't include everything from the comic book. They pick and choose the right battles to deliver that superhero action within a reasonable budget. So they should have been doing that. I mean, I guarantee you give someone like Bat in the Sun the same budget as Power Rangers, and you give them custom suits from Aniki or whatever, they're going to probably produce a good-ass series, 10, 15 episodes on Netflix, and be like, damn, that's what we wanted. So there's no reason. I mean, the fans are delivering it to a certain degree. There's no reason why the official company can't. We got the fans ordering custom suits, redesigning the suits, the MMPR suits. They're doing the work for them. Redesigning the MMPR helmets, redesigning the MMPR suits, doing proper crossovers, doing, bringing all the fantasies to life and filming it and getting it done. And it's like, well, the fans are doing it. and the fans are leading this thing, and they hardly have a budget compared to yours, what's stopping you from doing the exact same thing? The homework's already done. They already laid the foundation. They already have thousands of redesigns out there on the internet. Boom Studios, the comic book, is literally laying out the foundation for the next 5 to 10 years of Power Rangers. It's done. They already got it on paper, on print. All you honestly have to do is adapt it, switch things up a little bit so it's not one for one, so you can keep some of the drama and like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen. But the work has already been done, and you just have to make the decision to jump. And it looks like they're making that decision to jump finally. So hopefully we'll be entering a new era of Power Rangers. And on the flip side of that, we might be looking at, in 5 to 10 years, Power Rangers might be stronger branding, and the Super Sentai series might be dwindling. You know? Who knows? What do you think about that?
I'm glad you brought that up, because that was actually the next topic point that was actually really on my mind, man. We're looking at Power Rangers and Super Sentai 10 years after, you know. Keep in mind, we're just speculating from this topic alone, but, you know, the existence of Power Rangers and Super Sentai, because as of right now, if Power Rangers were to continue their track record, right, you know, without appealing to the adult fans, you're already seeing Super Sentai feeling the effect of not appealing to the kids over there, you know. And these are kids that are actually liking Super Sentai on their own. Now they're not really feeling it because toy sales is taking up the effect, you know. What was the last one they made? Cure Ranger or whatever, you know. I just was just not fascinated by it, and I wasn't going to adapt it to it. I'm just now catching up with Real Soldier, you know, because at first I wasn't fascinated by it because it was dinosaur related. I said, why we're using the same motifs? We're using motifs over and over again, you know. I thought they were going to do something completely new with the Real Soldier motif and going more night direction, you know, but they dodged that and went more dino, you know. So there's this void that Super Sentai and Power Rangers have been not filling at all, you know. And this is the direction that Power Rangers or Super Sentai need to take. I get it. Super Sentai in Japan has strayed far to appeal to adults. We're not seeing adults, you know, checking for Super Sentai and stuff like that. If anything else, they're into Kamen Rider, and even then, you know, that's here for you and there, you know. Yeah. But then here in Power Rangers, our Kamen Rider is Power Rangers, you know. Even though Power Rangers is also more of a kids thing, you know. But like I said, our Power Rangers is equivalent to Japanese Kamen Rider, you know, where we're looking. That's what we're looking for, you know. Not saying that that's what's going on now with Power Rangers. It's what the fans are looking for. They want serious tone. You can put your little campiness in there and stuff like that, but we're looking for serious tone, you know. And the only thing that I want to see with Power Rangers is to, once they drop the act of having to appeal to just kids, but also really, really dig into the fandom and give us pure fan service. It's not hard. The plan book, the blueprint has been set out for you. Boom Studios did the job for you. Fans already did the job for you. They already know what they want, you know. And toy sales is off the roof. Because the main purpose of Power Rangers was to sell toys. Right. The fact that Power Rangers is still able to sell toys to this day, where they're able to buy that Power Ranger helmet from Hasbro, the Lightning Collection, White Ranger and the Red Ranger helmet, stuff like that, because they still feel like, you know, they want to fulfill that dream of wanting to be a Power Ranger as they were as a kid, stuff like that. Then you got the hardcore fans that actually go out and buy a commissioned suit, set forth Anakin and blah blah blah. But yeah, man, like if this is what's going on with Power Rangers, because remember we talked about this before, man. We were the 1%ers of Power Rangers. Now we're looking at 10 to 15% Power Rangers at conventions now. Yeah. Like you can definitely go to a convention now and you'll see a Lightning Collection Red Ranger helmet or a Lightning Collection White Ranger helmet with a fan made armor and stuff like that, and they're being complete White Ranger because they're living their best life, But yeah, man, like Power Rangers going forward, man, they know that it's an adult appeal, and yes, we all have our nostalgia goggles on, but we all know that Power Rangers need to evolve further than that. As for Super Sentai, I mean, what they're doing now, I don't know. They're looking at a future of just dwindling and going spiraling out of control, where it might be in a state where it's never going to recover from, because Japanese kids, they're into something completely different on their own, and seeing Super, like, you're probably right, man, where Power Rangers is going to be on the up and Super Sentai is going to be on the down, and it's going to be sad, but we discussed this before, man. What are our thoughts about Power Rangers going forward? At first, I had no faith in Power Rangers and Super Sentai lasting longer than 10 to 20 years, But now there's hope for Power Rangers, but there's still no hope for Super Sentai, And I'm still like, I'm going from a perspective from what I see. I call it what I see it. Other perspectives of other fans is like, well, Super Sentai is still a hit, they're still selling toys out there and all that stuff like that. From what I see, and I watch YouTubers go to toy stores and stuff like that, them things ain't moved. The stuff that's been on the shelf ain't moved, Whereas when I come over here in America, when you see Power Rangers toys out there, they're moving, You ask for a Lightning Morpher, sold out, sir. Right. You ask for the new Dragon Dagger made from Hasbro, stuff like sold out, sir. Anything MMPR, quick sell. Super Sentai, they had that buzz going when they did stuff for 𝐏𝐿, just when you had the Legacy Keys come out, or 𝐏𝐿 Keys. But I call them Legacy Keys because you're calling back from the past of all Super Sentai from day one, from the first season all the way up. I respected 𝐏𝐿 just because it was more of a history lesson of what of how the lineage of Super Sentai. And how it also impacted not just kids in Japan, but it's impacted the whole entire world, because Super Sentai is the origins of Power Rangers, So that is the reason why I feel like Super Sentai needs to probably end up doing that, kind of like taking a page from what Power Rangers is getting ready to do, is you may even have to go ahead and do some callbacks. I think the last time they did a callback was when they brought back SPD.
Oh yeah, those anniversary 𝐎𝐍𝐿 10 years after SPD, the 𝐏𝐿 Junior crossover. Those specials are now kind of becoming, I wouldn't say they're like bestsellers, but they're definitely intriguing. They definitely have some kind of lightning bolt toward them, some kind of traction. So towards people who grew up on those series, rather than watch the new season, I'm gonna just watch that anniversary special, that callback special, and call it a day. Download that and that be done with it.
Yeah. Well, to correct myself to people, I know I'm probably gonna hit in the comment section. When I said SPD, I meant Decker Rangers. All right. Yeah. So I ease the hate in the comment section. All right. Decker Rangers. So when they did the callback of Decker Rangers, that was a dope deal, and I feel like that's what Power Rangers should end up doing too, is do a callback. You don't necessarily have to give us a season. You can do a callback. How is Time Force doing in the future when they went back to the year 3000? How are they doing? Let's do it 10 years later. How is SPD or RPM doing 10 years later, stuff like that. Callback episodes like that, we're bringing back the cast. The ones that hit Hollywood status, you're gonna have to pay them a lot of money, but you're probably gonna try to cut corners. Oh well, we're gonna go ahead and do a cop out and say like, oh, RP and Red has a son, that took over the ranks. You're talking about 10 or 20 years later or something like that. Whatever they decide to do, but those callbacks could save Power Rangers, and those callbacks can also save Super Sentai if they were to continue doing that. And what you just said best, with the biggest sellers has been crossovers. We've always anticipated crossovers. We've seen it in time and time before, how we saw Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles crossover went for the first time, and that was a hit. That was a hit. You know, I guess parts. You know, that was a hit series on its own. It was a 2-parter and stuff like that. You know, so it was a hit. But then you also had the callbacks of, you know, when Time Force met up with In Space, you know, with Lost Galaxy and stuff like that. You had all that crossed over, and you had, you know, the Psycho Rangers crossing over from Lost in Space and stuff. You know, they're just jumping between their worlds and stuff like that. You know, and then you also had from let me call the record Mystic Force. Was it Mystic Force Mystic Force, when they had Johnny Young Bosch reprise his role.
I think it was Operation Overdrive.
Yeah, Operation Overdrive. My bad. Operation Overdrive. You had Johnny Young Bosch come back, you know, and a couple other members from the Disney era come in. I remember there was a point where they had I'm trying to recall back with what I've seen on crossover and stuff like that, but I remember when there was a scene out there where it says nobody gets inside of a circle and stuff like that, and you had a crossover of all those Rangers, you know, coming back and saying nobody gets inside of a circle and stuff like that. You know, fans anticipate that stuff. You know, if you can't get a whole entire cast together, then you can just go ahead and they got a Lego set of Power Rangers. You can pick and choose, you know, and put stuff together and see who is an active actor right now to go ahead and cast and put them back in the suit. Not saying put them in an actual suit, but you know what to do. I mean, because come on, even in Beast Wars, we didn't even see Austin St. John wear that suit. He morphed in, he was skinny again. You know? Yeah. So, you know, if they're gonna move Power Rangers forward and stuff like that, you could pick and choose. You could take somebody. You could take Time Force Red. Then you can take in Space Blue, and you can go ahead and take Dino Thunder Yellow, you know, and intertwine them, cut the whole morphing grid out, the pictures, stuff like that, and let the worlds combine, stuff like that. If you're definitely going to stop and not give us any more after Dino Fury, then take what you have, pick and choose, and play with the puzzle pieces. Play with the build your own world with the Lego set that you have, you know? Right. You know, because personally, I really hope for a Q Ranger adaptation, but as of right now, man, that chances are very, very low right now, even though that Power Morphicon fans has made a statement. We're looking at 3 teams that made a statement saying that they want Q Rangers adapted. Who goes out in the world? Look at it. We're looking at, that was 12 suits in that 12 or 13 suits. You're looking at $1,000 each. Fans making a statement with their money saying they want this adapted. Yeah. So this is why, you know, this is the reason why, like, you know, these strong fans, like, we have a voice. We didn't have a voice before, you know. It's been proven time and time before, back when Tommy lost his powers as the Green Ranger. Fans, this is way before the internet. The demand for Tommy to come back was incredible. We're talking about letters and death threats and all this stuff like that. I still want Tommy back. These fans are growing up now, and their demand is on the internet, in the comment section. Oh, yeah. You know, and they're like, I want this back. Stop selling us MMPR. There's other seasons out there, you know. All this stuff. You even got people still watch Power Rangers. I didn't know Power Rangers was still this long, you know. Like, Power Rangers need to cut out the ignorance and stuff, you know. And Super Sentai, man, like, I don't know what else they can do. I hope the best for them. I wish the best for them. But, you know, 10 plus years, stuff like that, I really hope to say, like, I want to be able to look back and say, man, Power Rangers did their damn thing. Yeah. As for Super Sentai, you know, they can keep on going on air and stuff like that. But if I keep seeing reused motifs over and over and over again, I'm about to just give up on them.
Yeah. Well, it's one thing, man, because Super Sentai, we're going on to almost 45 years straight on television. 45 years straight, almost 50 years. I can't tell you any other television show in the world that has continued for almost 50 years straight. I mean, that's a testament unto itself, right? But on the other hand, after 50 years of television, and season after season, you can only imagine a company getting burnt out on it. Nothing lasts forever. Nothing. So eventually, I can see it becomes tiresome. I can see there's a lack of creativity. I can see that they're almost just burnt out on it. And it comes to the point where maybe you need to do the Kamen Rider route. Take a break. Take that break between the Showa and the Heisei era. And then when Kamen Rider came back with Kuga after, 5-10 years with Kuga, ratings were up. There was anticipation. There was like, oh, Kamen Rider's back, and they rebranded it. They did a dark, mature storyline with it. They can't tell those kind of storylines anymore. But it was like Kamen Rider's back, and it's got a new taste and a new feel, and it ushered in the new Heisei era. And now we're looking at I don't know how many seasons. We're looking now. It's getting their 20-something years now of the Heisei era. So maybe you need to take that. Maybe Super Sentai needs to take that 5-10 year break to have people miss it. To have people like, oh man, like they never did that theme season or whatever. Or you know what? After 5 years and nothing new to watch, like I might take another car season or something like that just to get the excitement and the anticipation back up. But I understand they may not want to break that streak of almost 50 years plus being on television, and there's a lot of pride to that. But there's also that risk of you just dwindling it down to almost absolutely nothing, where you hurt your company by trying to keep this tradition rather than just taking a break from it. And I can totally see the opposite happening. I can totally see Power Rangers on rise and Super Sentai going down, especially if Power Rangers can get that, not even the Marvel, if it can get some of that Transformers money, if it can get some of the, just even half of the DCEU money, if it can get just a bigger piece of the pie, certainly than last time, if it can get even like 60% of what these Marvel films and these big-time superhero films can get, we're definitely going to see that turn where Power Rangers is on the rise, and they're going off their own legacy. They're going off their own storylines. They're making their own, they're finally on their own 2 feet. They're on their own 2 legs here, where they're not relying on that Sentai footage, and they're making their own new storylines, and they're making their own legacy. And then Super Sentai might follow. They might be like, we might need to revisit some prior seasons. We might need 𝐏𝐿 to come back for 50, or we might, like they did for Real Soldier, the 3 reds, the 1 orange, and the 1 pink. I forgot that season, or what was that called? Yeah, they might have to do seasons like that. Who knows? They might have to they got to spice it up. You can't, the Lupin Ranger versus Patrol Ranger, and then you have whatever the hell this shit came out this year, and all these other things is just like Power Rangers, just running it a little bit into the dirt. You got to switch it up. You got to remix it up. You got to make people want it. And eventually, one of these two is going to break. I think Power Rangers is making the right moves to break that mold because they know they can only go so long depending on their current business model. And I think Super Sentai, once they see the Power Rangers route, they might. I know things are different in Japan. And for the listeners out there, let us know if we're completely wrong. If you live in Japan and you toy sales are okay and the ratings are not good for everything, but the ratings might be better for this news, let us know. Let us know if you got insight from Japan and all this. But from the outside looking in, it doesn't look good. And we'll see in the next 5 to 10 years if the fortunes reverse, if Power Rangers making the right moves now to where it might be a new era of the superhero genre might be dwindling down. It might be the era of nostalgia. You might see Thundercats get live action. You might see Barbie get live action. Power Rangers could potentially lead a nostalgia era of movies where, things from childhood of different generations get live action adaptations where it's like we're no longer looking at superheroes. We're looking at old Nickelodeon, old Disney, old Warner Brothers, Kids WB, or just old cartoon properties, and now we're just revisiting them and giving that big movie Voltron live action, shit like that, where Johnny Bravo might get a Netflix series or some shit like that. who knows? Nostalgia might be the new cash-in, and Power Rangers could leave that. Either way, Power Rangers going big movie, shared cinematic universe with television, more mature route. Fuck these kids. Screw the kids. Kind of added. No. In all seriously, yeah, just a new era, new attitude, and that might be the route that they need to take to continue.
You know what? Segue off of that. It's almost like if these corporations and these companies and these suits don't appeal to the adults, you're going to have people take it in their own hands. And I'm not saying, oh, yeah, well, we're going to riot because Power Rangers suck and all that stuff like that. No. Power Rangers has evolved where they created their own indie scene. Like I mentioned before, Unworthy Productions happened to take Power Rangers, that IP, stretched it, and made their own thing. Now they're at 5. They're recording episode 5 because their first 4 has been a hit and has been well praised by the actors and actresses who were Power Rangers actors themselves, who were actually hired upon Saban and Hasbro. And they're giving them their praise, because these were actually highly athletic individuals who do know martial arts, who's actually in the suits, in a custom suit, and they have their own story written and stuff like that, and yeah, here and there elements are borrowed from certain things, but they're taking it upon themselves to make something for the fans to enjoy, and it's been a hit. Then you got small companies, well, not companies, but small production teams out there, who's actually taking Power Rangers where they done stuff with Ninja Steel and Hurt, and what's the other ninja team outside of Ninja Steel?
You talking about Ninja Storm?
Ninja Storm,
Kaku Ranger?
that's right. Yeah, Ninja Storm. So they're combining them and doing their own thing and telling an appealing story. You got others who is out there taking elements, rather they're being like being a son of somebody from in space, and they're being somebody who actually came into power. I know there's one guy who's holding a Saban, who's holding a Saba sword, and he's got bits and pieces of the White Ranger armor on and stuff like that, and he's just borrowing elements from certain aspects. And then you got somebody who's actually a member of Time Force and stuff. I know in the comment section you probably recognize who they are and stuff like that, but if you do, definitely plug them in if you guys want to. But yeah, it's the indie scene that's taking it upon themselves. You got other people that's trying to make their team as a honorary members of Power Rangers and stuff like that. Rather, they're actually creating a whole entire team using the name Rangers and stuff like that. I have a problem with the name Rangers when it comes to the indie scenes, because you're given the Hasbros and you're giving Saban and all that stuff like that almost that that launch, that something to play off of and stuff like, because you're using Rangers as our IP. What happens if once your property becomes a hit, easily they can just go ahead and buy yours. Are you going to be willing to sell off your property? That's your intellectual property. You want to be known as a kicker ranger, or soccer ranger, or whatever you want. The moment that you use Rangers, stuff like that, Hasbro's gonna be like, all right, well, we have Rangers, we have Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. The fact that you're using Rangers is almost similar to our intellectual property. We can end up buying it or give you a cease and desist, And there's other people that's going in a different direction. Well, they actually created a whole entire superhero, an indie scene superhero, without using Rangers. It's their own entire thing, taken from elements from Tokusatsu, from the Toei world, and Power Rangers, stuff like that, and making their own individual live-action character and stuff like that. We're living in a world where it's like, if Power Rangers is not going to do it, the live-action characters are going to do it from the indie scene, I've even dabbled in the mix of wanting to make my own team and stuff like that, and it depends how far I want to take it, stuff like that. But the imagination is out there. You can go on DeviantArt yourself and look at all sorts of designs of Power Rangers that they want. I've seen so many of them, and it's impressive. And they have motifs that's never been used in Super Sentai or Power Rangers, and it could be a hit. You could easily just vision in your head of what would that team would look like, you know, if it was adapted to live action, because these are just made up ideas. I was able to do that myself, was able to make up my own Rangers, and there's some motifs that has not been used. For example, Western. We're overdue. Rangers is in itself is overdue for a Western, you know. You know, a proper Western Ranger and stuff like that. You know, like if you were going to do something Ranger, you got to do a callback to the Western. Like, this is what I thought Japan was going to do, was they're going to take some motifs and learn to understand it. Because, to be honest with you, when they came out with a Ninja, and their sixth Ranger was a Cowboy Ranger, and he had a guitar, and his morpher was a burger. Okay, now, I don't want to sound like a Karen, but I was slightly offended that's how we were characterized in Japan, stuff like that. However, here in Japan, stuff like that, we learn to honor Japan's culture and stuff like that. So anything Japanese Orrion and stuff like that, like there's a game out there, Ghost of Tsushima and stuff like that, would honor the whole entire culture of Japan. And American-made studio made a game that even appealed to Japan itself, you know? So I feel like I thought that Japan was going to be more cultured about Western stuff like that, and was able to make a hit night motif, a hit cowboy motif, a hit Cherokee Indian motif, or some stuff like that. Some similar motifs out there outside of car, dinosaurs, animals and stuff like that. There's other motifs they could use. The only time that I've seen anything that unique as of currently was Key Rangers, because it was taking Zodiac motifs, which is fans wanted for a long time, from my understanding. I said, I want a Zodiac motif. They gave it to us. That's the reason why at Power Morphicon there was a huge demand, there was a huge cry for, we want Key Rangers to be adapted, you know? But the moment that you don't do that, the fans are going to take it upon themselves. Rather they wear it, they got to buy an expensive cosplay, spend up to about $13,000, almost $15,000 worth of cosplay, and get a set, rent a studio for a day, hire a cameraman, and make up their own fan film. That could be a hit. We've seen other fan films out there, you know, where there were custom Rangers with pieces of armor and stuff like that, and they made their own compelling storyline and stuff. And it doesn't be even high production, but it's got a lot of eyes on them. Right. So the moment that, you know, the Power Ranger scene or the Super Sentai scene don't do anything else, the fans are going to be the one that's going to take it upon themselves and make it their hit. Or they could do without the Power Ranger stuff and make their own stuff without using the word Rangers. They can use Knights, they can use Raiders, they could use anything else, Surfers in that retrospect, you know. But other than that, that's what I'm seeing, what they're doing with the indie scene, and the fans are craving more of it, you know, and it's starting to take off, especially because technology has evolved. We got computers that could do almost even better than the special effects they did in the 90s. Yeah. You know? True. So when you give it to the fans to do it, and they're able to go ahead and, you know, roll up the sleeves and dust off their shoulders and show a big corporation like Hasbro or a big corporation like Toei how it's done. Yeah, they're gonna kill it. And what happens to your current properties and stuff like that? What happens to your Power Rangers? What happens to your Super Sentai and stuff like that? If the fans got to do your job, and they can go ahead and, you know, they can sit there and embrace it, or order a cease and desist and take your property and make their own, you know, because we know that they're paying attention. Right. So I just want to hear your thoughts and stuff like that. Like, what are your feelings on and your thoughts about fans taking it upon themselves and doing something with their own properties?
Well, this is the age of the fandom. This is the age of the fan. The fans have this is the time period where the fans have the most influence on what they like in the history of entertainment. You're talking about from online petitions to craftsmanship, prop makers, to special effects, computers having more powerful CPUs and specs than 90s movies studio productions. I mean, just think about how we can almost make anything that we want become a reality. If I want to put my face on Johnny Depp's head and be inserted into Pirates of the Caribbean, I can do that. If I want to put myself laughing with Marilyn Monroe, I can do that. If I want to make it look like I'm in the freaking Taj Mahal, I can do that. And the same attitude is being used with fans. You have people recutting Star Wars, different versions of The Last Jedi, different versions of Empire Strikes Back. Oh, Han shot first. Oh, Han didn't shoot first? George Lucas, Disney? Okay, well, guess what? I'm going to fix it and make Han shoot first. And that, that kind of attitude. Oh, Obi-Wan versus Darth Vader in New Hope? Well, I'm going to actually cut that up and make an extended fight sequence, 5-minute fight sequence out of your 2-minute fight sequence. And I'm going to CGI Alec Guinness's face on our model and make it look as real and as official as possible. You got people who are making custom toys of different figures that they wanted. You got a whole plethora of different ways fans are making their realities real, making their fantasies real. And when you get people who can make the props almost damn near better than the movie props now, and you can have the technology to make full real live movie productions in your back office or in your backyard, the fans are going to do it. And the fans they're not going to just put up with that shit. Someone's going to have the money. Someone's going to have the resources to put that shit together and make it happen. I remember when Baby Yoda was a freaking hit and there was no toy or no baby doll of Baby Yoda. The fans did it themselves, and eventually, sure, Disney released a Baby Yoda life-size doll, but prop makers were on that shit, and best believe they mastered it and was selling some before Disney got them shits in stores. And you're seeing the same thing with Power Rangers and these custom Ranger teams and these custom Ranger teams and these custom Ranger series. Even then, look at the NFL, the Washington football team, Redskins are dead, gone, and now you have people coming up with custom logos, custom names for the new team, doing the work for the NFL. Essentially, the fans are doing the work for these companies, and all the company has to do is kind of pay attention, hand you that cease and desist. Guess what? We're gonna take this shit, and because you put our name on it, we got control over it, you know what I'm saying? And use it to our own benefit. We'll remix it up a little bit, but we'll take your idea. Thank you. And we'll do it ourselves, now that you did the work for the most part. So this is the age of fandom. You got so many different ways people are influencing their entertainment and making their dreams come true, even meeting their idols at these conventions. Never has it been basically a good time to be a fan, where if you want to replicate something, you have the internet, you have art books, you have so many resources to get your shit as screen accurate as possible. Back in the day, you watched a movie, picture memory, go to the fabric store, try your best. That was that. Nowadays, there's YouTube tutorials to show you where to freaking get it, how to do it, and there's websites to just buy the damn thing as screen accurate as possible. You just paying out your ass to get that thing. So, yeah, I mean, even T-shirts. I've even seen Power Ranger themed T-shirts. That's like, yo, Hasbro Saban should have been on some of this shit. I think I saw the Zeo Stronger Than Before workout tank top. That thing was selling like hotcakes there, and I'm like, damn. Like you said, there's a market outside of MMPR that, okay, you may not need to put it in Walmart, but at least put it on the website for someone to buy. You have the resources to build up a catalog of other seasoned merchandise, so it doesn't have to go to Target. It can be on this online store. You purchase your Zero t-shirt, I got a Zero t-shirt, or I got Time Force t-shirt. Why do I have to go to Redbubble and TeePublic and get a fan-made version of that shirt when Saban or Hasbro can make the thing for me? So in this day and age, fans are into it, and they have the power to replicate and make something new that no one has seen before. And these companies, they can either listen and pay attention, or they can ignore it and lose out on some money. Not some, they can lose out on millions. I mean, just look at, was it Paramount with the Sonic movie? If they had just if they ignored that shit, if they ignored the fans' cry for a redesign, I guarantee you that Sonic movie was not going to become that hit that it did. So, I mean, I know the fans aren't always right, but it's situational. It's situationally based. But if you could just even have the option of looking at it, you could probably make a good decision of like, you know what, this does actually make sense. They got a point. Okay, well let's go with it. Or hell, let me bring you on the team. And what kind of ideas do you have to make money for us? You know what I'm saying? I just countless guys in the Ranger scene making props. The Ranger changer that JDF had in that one episode, the interchangeable coins. Oh, that shit wasn't available in stores. Guess what? The prop makers were on it. You know what I'm saying? What Ranger key wasn't made? Prop makers are on it. So yeah, there's money to be made, and the fans are gonna do it out of passion or out of profit. And it's up to the companies to look at it and want to utilize it or just ignore it. Suffer the consequences.
To piggyback off of what you just said, man, once the fans got the power to do so, you're right, man. Jason David Frank reprised his role as Tommy and Ninja Steel, and we saw the Master Morpher debut. Did you see that Master Morpher in stores? Nope. So what did they do? Fans ended up buying another Morpher, which was the sell to Legacy to Bandai, because those movie Morphers was not moving. But when that Master Morpher was there, that movie Morpher moved and was converted, and people jumped on eBay and Etsy to get them plates, them lenses, and those coins, because those are not licensed coins. But when you give it to the fans, and in fact, I've never seen the fact that Hasbro's, and at that point when Saban had an opportunity, they left money on the table, because when Bat and Son had the debut of Ryu and Chun-Li to become Rangers or honorary Rangers, and they had their own coins and stuff like that, you missed out on toy sales. That was, the fact of the matter is the fans took it upon themselves and made their, when the Ryu Ranger was out, when debut, fans were quick enough to go ahead and make that a reality. This is the thing that these corporations need to do and stuff like this. It's when the fans don't get what they want, they're gonna find a loophole to get what they want. Whether if the Power Rangers, if a scene is not done correctly, like if people didn't like Super Mega Force, guess what? They can get a whole bunch of cosplayers and do it them damn selves, But yeah, man, like to end things off, man, like to end off at a Power Ranger corny note, you've got the power, and as Zordon would say, man, may the power protect you. Use that power, if corporations like Hasbro and Super Sentai is not doing it, you've got the power to do it, and always let the power protect you. That's it, man. Did you want to end things off?
It's like GameStop, but power to the fans.
There you go. All right.
And that does it, folks, for today's episode. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment, and follow us on all popular social media platforms.
That's right. You heard the man. Like and comment. Dislike if you ain't feeling the content. Download the discussion from SoundCloud. Big shout out to you for being a part of the crowd. Follow us on every popular social media platform in the description below. That's it. That's my time. Hope you guys enjoyed. Orion Online, offline.
We're out.